Hello, hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, and you?
Yeah, I'm good. Enjoying some games. It's been a fun day. Did you? I guess were you watching the Super Tournament?
I was watching Super Tournament and I was in between the games. I watched some of ZvZ versus Reynor.
Yeah, Reynor was pretty cool. Was a bit of interest in PvZ at least. Wasn't quite the normal for once, so it was kind of nice to switch it up a little bit. All right, are you like 40 seconds in game? We're in sync or so?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Awesome. So they don't really do intros, so Reynor's in the top right, Dark's in the bottom left. It's a decided match. The winner goes to the playoffs, and the loser is out in the group stages. Who are you feeling if you have to make a prediction between Dark and Ren? You think Reynor's got this?
I think it's a 50-50 basically. I also don't know if Reynor has his desktop yet or if he's still playing on a laptop, but either way I think it would be pretty much a 50-50. I think Zerg's on the highest caliber in a best of 3. It's always going to be super, super close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've just kind of got that tendency about them and the way the matchup works, right, with some of the builds and stuff like that. It's always a little bit of a tough one to kind of guesstimate or to predict, I suppose. So, yeah, be fun to see what happens. Obviously, Dark has not been afraid to crank out some aggressive ZvZ lately, so he's been clowning around in the matchup as usual. And Reynor, his ZvZ's been pretty, I'd say, just pretty standard lately. A couple tricks, but I mean that's just ZvZ nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. I think once you start respecting your opponent, you're gonna try to cut some corners and try to predict what he's doing, and then that's where the mind games come in. That's where build order wins come in to play, and that's also where the variance comes from on the highest level, where like one player is gonna beat the other 3-0, and then on the next day he's gonna lose to him 3-0. Like that can happen all the time. I know Reynor is not the biggest fan lately of playing against 2-base because he lost against the Laser a couple times, who played clown stuff against him. But I think Dark doesn't do that, so what I'm looking forward to is mostly seeing if Dark's going to play Muda or not, and if Reynor just plays Standard. Because Reynor told me he's relatively confident against Muda, actually, which is... He would be the only Zerg to ever say that in a ZvZ, so...
Yeah,
that would be dope. Some Muda against Roach action, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, that'd be some kind of fun stuff to see. Right now it is dead similar. Link speed, third hatcheries, they're both going to match each other for the moment. Not going to go off course. If we do see anything in the immediate future, it would maybe be someone player makes a few more lings and gets a bit aggressive, while the other will not. Reynor just going to ask for a second though. Get something fixed up, I assume, and we can continue through with being in the nest on either side.
Yeah, Dark does something a little bit different from the way we do it. He gets a third queen before the baiting nest, I think always. And that actually cuts into his drone production because he still wants the baiting nest early enough to be safe. So he always is like down a drone or two mining for a little bit. It doesn't make the biggest of differences, but it doesn't feel nice. That's why we don't do it. Like you just have a couple less minerals to work with in the early game. So that's the first small difference. But as I said, he always does this no matter what he does as a follow-up as well. Unless obviously he would go for a Ling Bane pressure himself. In that case, you always skip the third queen. So we already know that's out of the question. Reynor can still go for like one of those skill check builds where he, after 27 drones or so, he starts making a couple Zerglings, couple Banelings, trying to see if Dark is on point with the defense. But super standard so far.
Yep, so we'll just wait this out for a few moments. Everyone was discussing whether stuff was from replays or live and stuff before. Well, this one is definitely live, guys, otherwise we wouldn't have... They didn't just edit the pause into the replay, I can tell you that much, so... A live series to continue through, because everyone likes to be up in arms when it's replays.
No, they're faking it, bro. They're waiting at the exact moment he wrote PP and then you're pausing the game. Pausing the replay.
Yeah, I mean, some people will tell me that they do as well. They're like, you know what, they've been called out, they figured out that, like, you know, the end screen was from replays the last couple of games, so now they're pausing and pausing. Yeah, I honestly, I can't even make it up. It's so ridiculous, but someone will. I'm sure someone will.
Yeah, thankfully it's not possible because every time you pause in a replay, all the messages show up at once. So the PP, sorry, go, so it all shows up at the same time.
Unless they, but what if they're not actually playing a replay? What if it's a video and they video edited it?
Oh,
they
wow.
just edited the video. Oh, well, I guess they just play the video instead of a replay, right? And then it's just like they paused in time. Yeah, maybe that's the next stage of tricking everybody into watching replays.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's also why a lot of the times in the World Team League where the webcams show, that's why those are also from replay. That's why the people keep asking. I was wondering because I was like, you can see the players reacting live. Like, why are you asking? It's obviously because it's recorded.
Alright, let's get into this game again. As we do see quite a few things ramp up from Reynor while Dark continues to drone, so he will put some pressure on, but get a bit of an attack going and obviously drone behind it. And as Dark obviously will have to take his turn to make units, then Reynor can drone behind that and you kind of go back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see if he even moves out because he just made 10 links. So that's like a safety amount. Usually 8 is the norm. But if you're playing against a Korean that is not afraid to, you know, more of a bunch of bindings on your side of the map, it's not that bad. Reynor actually going for +1 carapace. And here we already see the decision that he made and trying to win the game. He also scouts that there's no early lair. So this is already pretty bad for him actually. Because what he wanted to go up against is the early lair builds that Dark keeps doing. Where +1 carapace all in obviously can be very, very strong, but Dark is actually going for a European opener, which he didn't do for so many times. I have seen him do it recently against Rogue before as well, but he used to be of the belief that just going early lair every game is the best, and what he does right now is a lot better against what Reynor is doing, but Dark at a super random time just making links and trying to go for an attack himself. We'll see if that will be effective.
Yeah, we'll give it a moment to see what happens as we obviously just have our few lings moving in. So Dog just trying to put a bit of pressure on himself. His own Rotron coming through, going into his missile upgrade. As we do have a couple lings on the other side. Obviously, Banes are threatening here as well. Dog's going to start walking a couple towards the mineral line. Not like there's a ton of drones there, but he'll take them towards the natural as well. And it's split away there so far. So now the attack into the natural, but I guess it's walled off or so. I'm just going to follow back over here and he will get rid of a few more drones. So still nice, he's going to get a few kills. Of course, he was behind on drones, and he still is behind on drones right now, as he's still just making a lot of lings, more so than just droning up.
Yeah, that Queen Light in the natural that was in the wall, that's the reason he couldn't get in there, even though the Observer didn't show it in this scenario. But Reynor actually went past the drone count at which you would usually do this all-in. So that might even help him to mask the all-in, right? Because you wouldn't see the intent. Like, why would your opponent already have 9 drones on the third base if he was planning on all-inning? And I think that might have even been an accident by Reynor to accidentally make too many drones. I've seen him do this before. And then sometimes it works even better, even though it might be a mistake against players like Cyril that just make a call based off that drone count. But Dark is just making roaches, so he's not buying any of that. I'm not sure how he scouted it, or if he just wants to all-in himself. But what Dark is doing right now is pretty good. And Reynor himself also now going back into drones, so he must have the feeling that an all-in right now won't work anymore, so he's just gonna fake move out.
Yep, just gonna be moving a little bit down the bottom side, but we'll be pulling back. Laz on the way on either side of this to get into the next stage of the tech. And Reynor just going to crank out 9 drones. Dark still building roaches here. Obviously, at some stage, he's going to have to realize that, you know, roach production is stopped from Reynor's side as well, and that he can make some drones of his own. Otherwise, he will end up falling a little bit further behind. He has a couple more overlords setting up right now. Starts up his roach speed, and there we go. He does indeed start some drones for himself.
Yeah, but Reynor did the droning part a little bit better. To be honest, I'm surprised he made roaches on that low of a drone count, because, as I said before, there were drones on Reynor's third. So if your opponent initially went to 48 drones, you should be able to hold an all-in at least on 48 drones, right? Because there's a defender's advantage. So something like a perfect drone count, for example, to hold the attack that Reynor would have done would be like 54. So I'm a little bit surprised by how early Dark stopped droning, and that's also why he's behind now in supply. He obviously has the slightly more desirable upgrade, but 1-1 is still the same as 2-0 in pure Roach versus Roach, and since neither of them have 6 gas, the Ravager counts are not going to come into play too much, so actually having an earlier 1-1 whenever a fight starts happening might even be favorable for Reynor.
Alright, well, as we see a few more Roaches continuing on through, we got a Queen pushing back an Overseer, and just going to see a little drop a load of Banelings are going to make their way forward as well. So Dark to try and get into a mineral line and just to try and take away some of that economy of Reynor, and maybe that can be the move he makes to try and take a step back into this, is right now trailing by a pretty hefty supply count in terms of the army. You can just see 100 army supply from Reynor, Dark trailing behind around 70 or so. Then as Reynor finishes up his +1, his roach speed. Is the potential Reynor just launches an attack here? I mean, okay, he's starting to move across, but will he commit, or is this just a fake out?
Yeah, no, he's all in. Dark also scouted that it was 5 gas, so perfect play from Dark right now would be to start spawning as many Ravagers as possible, which he's a little bit slow with, to be honest. He also invested so much into the Overlord speed, and the Overlord drops, so that's another reason why Reynor actually has more stuff right now. And as I said before, his 1-1 is finishing before Dark's 2-0, so if Reynor manages to take a fight right now as the Ravagers are morphing, I think his chances are pretty good. Okay, some of the Ravagers are already done, I didn't see that. I thought all of them were morphed at the same time, so Dark should be fine if he micros this correctly.
Yep, using those bars to force the split-ups on his opponent. Pull him back a little bit as he will continue to fall back. Continues his bars. All those bars connect this time around. Reynor loses 10 drones as well as that Overlord drop comes into play, so that happens. We drop some more biles here. These roaches still taking a beating, my goodness. I mean, Reynor is studying a ton of biles, but he is still kind of there on the army supply. He's getting a couple of biles of his own to land as well, although some of his roaches hitting an extractor too. He needs to just kind of get fully focused on that army if he wants to try and win this out. As now Dark pushes forward, reinforcements obviously arrive sooner for him. But will it be enough? Because Reynor's still streaming units across the map, and, well, more reinforcements are going to be here for Reynor in just a second.
Yeah, I do think Dark missed micro that a lot. He fought into the concave instead of just poking back and forth, because all he needed to do was buy time, and he also had the Ravagers, which he could have kept forcing Reynor to move his army with. But at this point, Reynor's army is overwhelming quite a bit. He's trying to snipe the Ravagers one by one. One of the Ravagers is surviving with 1 HP, trying to go forward, and at this point, like, most of that fight was with 1-1 against 2-0 as well, so even though Dark had enough units to defend, realistically, with that couple of micro errors, Reynor is actually making the best of this, and now at this point he already killed enough drones, so even that if he wouldn't kill his opponent, he would be fine, but he's still streaming across the map with more and more reinforcements, and he's just trading so much better than Dark. We can see it in the resources lost, that Reynor just traded way better in that one fight, and he's taking it.
Yep, he's going to take it down, and that is going to be GG's, so Dark has to tap out, and yeah, it was kind of funny, because I feel like Reynor did eat like a bunch of corrosive biles, but yeah, Dark almost put himself in, like you say, like, you know, gave his opponent the concave and then just sort of attacked into it and sort of just let a lot of his roaches not deal damage for a long time. And in mirror matchups like this, obviously fights like that and, you know, engagements like that really matter a lot. So number 2, like you say, a little bit of a larger one and a little bit more favorable to get that kind of stuff. So we'll see what comes out of it. We'll see how the setups go as we get ourselves ready. Dark trails by a game. Of course, this is an elimination match. The winner moves on. The loser is going to be out in the group stage. No more second chances. And I guess at the end of this, we have our playoffs set up. It's kind of crazy. There's only one Terran player in the playoffs, which is Clem. It's kind of wild that he's the only Terran. And I feel like, especially in Korea, like the Terrans are usually very strong, right? And there's a lot of them and stuff. So it's really weird to see like just only one making it through. But obviously, not everyone qualified into the tournament as well initially.
I sure do hope that I do not get Clem. Like, I have a chance to get Zaun, Zest, and Clem. Clem by far the worst for me personally.
Yeah.
Out of those 3.
Yeah, no, that's that would be kind of brutal. I guess you find out. I guess they're gonna give us the bracket at the end of the series maybe. So.
I mean, I hope so. They did the drawings before and they uploaded it to YouTube. Without seeds, just they did random drawings.
They just did right
for the group stage.
Oh. Amazing.
So they might do that again. Maybe right after now, or maybe they're just gonna upload it to YouTube again. Who knows?
I didn't realize they uploaded it to YouTube. That's amazing. They're literally like, hey, look at us not do the look at us not see the tournament properly.
Yeah, but to make sure that it's not rigged, you know.
I mean, there is that one guy on Reddit that always calls out every ESL tournament for being rigged because we don't draw the bracket officially on stream. So
yeah, the best part is no matter what happens, like, it's just for no matter what happens, there's always some random storyline. It's rigged for sure.
You know,
rigged
like
against mirror matchups, rigged for mirror matchups. Like, I don't even know.
They want to make sure Mara and Cell meet in the grand final. It's like, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, ESL out here just rigging every tournament in the last 2.5 years. Who knew? Oh, well, it'll be interesting to see what the playoffs look like. It's been kind of. I assume you're with me when you say when you think it's kind of dumb that these groups play over like 2 days, or do you like that?
I mean, for me personally, preparation is better, but
Okay.
I don't care too much. I think having it a little bit different in other tournaments is fine.
Yeah.
But I don't quite get why they do two days per group stage and then they do the playoffs for 2 days. It's a little bit weird.
Yeah, no, it's. I guess they just have a certain amount of days that they need. So they just need 12 broadcast days. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of wild. It's kind of done like, obviously I know there's a lot going on, so it's had to clash. It's been kind of unfortunate because it's like, it's hardly worth casting this when you go live for like 2 best-of-3s, and it's like, well, my other tournament would still have another 4 hours in it, but now I'm finished, and it's like,
Yeah. Like the level here is insane. Like this is basically a better season finals because it doesn't give regional slots, right?
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. The scheduling of it and yeah, mostly just the scheduling of it honestly makes it a lot worse to
Yeah.
watch.
a little rough. Maybe a bit better with the playoffs next week. It doesn't clash with anything for once, so.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, just to kind of talk about the game quickly, it is dead even again. Just gonna mirror each other with the Baneling Nest and Ling Speed. So, a couple minor differences, but bar that, the same idea from both for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, you're hosting the wrong server. Always good.
Can you recover a game? Can you
On a
recover a
different
game
server?
with a different server?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think you can go out and then I think because if you just host the replay on a different server, it just works like that. Pretty sure. I think it's separate.
I like that Reynor said just go and then.
And then we have the
we're
whole
going
then
back to the
Doc.
casters, yeah.
Yeah, back to the casters. You know, we're gonna figure this out. Just take a few moments to truly get into the ZvZ.
I mean, it's the whatever. Like whenever the China tournaments are, it's always West, Central, West, right? So they probably hosted West twice now, but they can maybe give him Central as
Central
a
last
decider.
map. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would make sense. All right, well, it looks like we're back in, and we are through this as we drop an extra extractor down from Dark already. He's got a few lings now on the way out as Reynor continues to drone this time himself, and he will again, Reynor, just drop that carapace upgrade. So goes straight into the carapace against a Dark who is just going to go +1 missiles, no lair, and right now quite a few lings of his own.
Yeah, like on paper, as I said before, it's good for the +1 missile player. But yeah, Dark is doing one of his signature moves, which is just at any drone count he stops very late into the game, where there's already banelings, multiple queens, and a wall, and then he just starts attacking with banelings. And honestly, I don't really see this working all too often, but he keeps doing it, so it must work at some point. So maybe this will be the game.
Maybe this will be the one where we figure it out. As Dog comes across, his Banes coming through. One of them denied already. Full of Banes from Reynor, going to try and make something happen as well. Dark's also trying to run Banes into the natural, but Reynor has a wall off there, and that Queen is holding for now. And Dark's not really paying the proper attention to those Banelings or Lings over there. They were just kind of hitting the front without attacking, so that's a little bit silly. He does get the Queens on the left, though. 5 drones have gone down, and now he's on his way to getting this hatchery kill, and Reynor kind of needs to not let this hatchery die, right? Because if that hatch goes down, he's going to be in some trouble for production. And there it is, hatchery down, and Dark succeeds on his attack.
Yeah, just like that, it works. I think Reynor might have not respected it enough, or we missed some banelings not detonating, because I only saw like two or three banelings from Reynor, even though Dark flooded with like 50 zerglings and 6 banelings of his own. So as long as you have a similar baneling count, this should never be able to work, because you have the defensive queens, and your opponent can't just engage them full on with the many zerglings. But yeah, the way it worked out, this is now good for Dark. That being said, he's overmaking units, so he's not really taking advantage of being able to mine more than his opponent yet. But once those 6 drones spawn, the advantage starts coming in.
Yeah, no, it's always difficult when you're not in the game yourself and you can't just like double check things and, you know, have like a second eye almost as well. It's and today's observer has definitely been a bit questionable. During Zest Reynor, we missed 6 carriers or 6 Tempests getting killed by Biles all at once. So it was it's been a day when it comes to observing, as we do see our Lings gonna go running around the left-hand side, and Reynor is gonna be pulling on back, actually into Banelings. So Dark has Banelings there, and Reynor has to keep on running. And Dark will keep Reynor away for the moment, as Reynor obviously starting a drone, preparing for his 3rd hatchery to be ready, so he can just start getting the drones over there and get his mining going there pretty much as soon as the hatch finishes.
Yeah, if I was Reynor, I would think that I'm miles behind, but it's a playable position. But as you said before, like the biggest deal is the larva as well that you lose. So it was very hard for Reynor to spend his money. If he was just making drones right now, he could not spend his money. Pretty sure that's why he's making roaches. The thought process behind that is hoping that your opponent responds with his own roaches and also is not fully saturated on a 3 basis because of it. But you can at least spend all your money. That being said, if he goes for like a similar attack as he did in last game, it would never work. Like never ever, because this game is actually behind instead of ahead. So yeah, he's just trying to take a fort base, trying to spend his money any way he can. Instantly gets jumped on by Dark and the Knight. So yeah, Dark playing pretty well this game so far.
Yep, just some good stuff there. That's just going to be seen. Obviously, Dark just continuing through with the +2 missiles as well. So another advantage for him to work with as we get this underway. Excuse me, you probably hear my doorbell in the background, just going wild. My bad.
No problem.
I have to have it like on some ridiculously like long song just in case I'm casting and I don't hear like the ding dong. But then when I do hear it, and I'm just like, it's just like
I
it
thought
goes
it was
on
an ice
forever.
truck, to be honest. I thought it was an ice truck in the background.
Yeah, I wish it was, man. We have snow outside right now, anyways. I gotta make my own ice cream, I guess.
Yeah. That's nice for me and melted though. I love snow.
Oh yeah.
It's great.
But this is our second time this week. We had a storm that was like the worst storm we've had in a long time in England. It like knocked down like loads of shit, and then it snowed, and then it all melted. And it was getting warm, and last night it just snowed again. And it's everywhere. So.
Nice. Well, not much happening in this game so far because both players are just making roaches.
Making roaches and waiting for upgrades and maybe an attack soon from Dark. I mean, +2 is finishing and obviously he's maxed out, so makes perfect sense for him to commit to the fight. And imagine that's what he does in just the next few moments, right? Just goes in for this, makes a play, and yeah, we'll see if Reynor can pull off an incredible defense, basically. He does have 1-1 at least, so that's the bonus. He has the carapace upgrade, and let's see if, just again, defensive positioning can help him out enough.
Yeah, like if you're a little bit behind 1-1, sometimes it's a little bit better because you can take prolonged fights, like in comparison to if you also had 2-0, because those fights are a little bit more explosive. So if you're a little bit behind, they go more one-sided than the other way around. Like you're not gonna have more time to try and reinforce. So this might help Reynor a little bit. He has a decent position, but Dark also is coming with a little bit of a flank from the left-hand side. And I would say the initial fight looked okay for Reynor, but the longer this fight takes, the more you can already see how many units Dark has. The position is getting better and better as well, because the more Reynor kites backwards, the more it becomes a concave from Dark. Dark realizing, okay, now his reinforcements are spawning right next to the fight. Maybe I can go back. I already killed this fort base. I should be ahead. Also, I have 26 roaches on the way. Maybe let's wait till those join up with the army. And I'm a little bit surprised Dark doesn't have overlord speed, but he does have 10 overlords on the other side of the map, so he's trying to flee with them right now in case he ever loses a fight, because then those Ravagers are gonna have a field day.
Yeah, they're gonna go overlord hunting. There's Dark just checked for the 4th base and actually was there just a moment too soon. It was about to go down, and Reynor says, well, if you're here, I guess I go back the other way. As Dark is gonna get an overlord of his own and just gets that kill. Reynor attempting to go burrow and tunneling claws, set up something to kind of get back in the game with Right, give him some harassment. If you can just survive, then maybe you can get some roaches to harass. It's a way to give him a chance rather than just letting this game play out otherwise, which is just going to be very kind of stale for him. So, yeah, got to do something. I like the idea, just obviously a little bit rough in this situation where you're just so far behind, because you probably won't get the chance to really make it come to fruition, which is unfortunate, because it would have been cool to maybe see a bit of that harassment.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea as well. He even made a spine, so doubling down on it, he's like, okay, I'm just gonna try to survive. You're gonna attack into me, and then maybe I can somehow survive while doing some counterattack damage. Like already trying to get an idea to not only survive, but also try to get something going for himself, which I like a lot. But Dark is microing really well with the roaches. He keeps staying in a concave, and even if these fights go relatively evenly, it's better for Dark because he is outmining his opponent. That being said, a lot of Reynor's units are super low HP, and the burrow is going to come in quite handy because those are going to regenerate straight back to full HP. We saved a lot of units there that were about to die. Otherwise, right away at the beginning of the next fight, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, now Dark obviously is maxing out again. He's thinking about going once more. he sees a few of these roaches running around the side, and obviously now seems to know about the burrow stuff, so he actually sets up some spines of his own, and we'll get ready to just stop that harassment kind of dead in its tracks already, so... Cute little play from Dog, just recognizing what's going on and just saying, right, well, prep against that and make sure it's not an issue, and then I can take my larger army advantage and just use that for a fight further down the line instead.
Yeah, I actually would prefer the moment he sees roaches on the map, just go with everything on the other side. Because if you have a lead, I don't think there's a possibility where your opponent can send like 3-6 roaches on the map and then also survive. And then you hold it with like reinforcements, because he saw it quite early on. You can still make those spines, but for now that means Reynor is gonna max out and he has a hive on the way. And if Reynor actually makes a Hydra then, or if he scouts the Spire with the roaches, like at any moment in time, this Spire is like the way back for Reynor into the game, because that means like whenever he makes Mutas, and Reynor actually already has Hydras on the way, that Reynor's army is actually gonna be better. So I'm not sure about pulling back with everything, honestly. I think he gave Reynor a lot of time that was a little bit unnecessary. But this is a great position for Dark.
Yeah.
Reynor cannot commit in here.
Yep, Dark just set up that concave perfectly, ready to come in from all sides if that fight was to happen. He's lost 6 drones, he's going to lose another one as well, as these roaches still being an annoyance in the main. And Reynor getting himself up to Vipers. Hydra's den is about to be done as well, so... Yeah, and maxed out, so it's going to be tough for Dark to find a fight in as well now, where he's going to be kind of favored. So, yeah, that's going to be a little bit of a problem too. Reynor still working on that +2 carapace as well. That's another upgrade lead he will take in this game as well. So a lot of little things, just like you say, Reynor kind of being let back in the game, right? Doc not maybe being as persistent as he should have been here.
Yeah, I mean, right now, as long as Reynor keeps at least this hatchery alive, he would be down a base, but at this point he killed so many drones on the other side of the map as well, even though Dark invested in defense and kept some units at home as well, that it's looking better and better for Reynor. And now he is gonna try to just sack this base and try to clean up the roaches one by one, like trying to put out one fire at a time and taking it slowly, but he is really not mining, and he didn't even restart the hatchery yet, so that's a little bit rough. But I mean, the last couple of minutes definitely were very good for Reynor. If you look at the supply right now, and especially if we take a look at the tech as well, it's looking pretty decent for him. Like at this point, at least he should not be able to die anymore.
Yeah, so he should be able to survive. Obviously, he needs to get his hatcheries back up and running, otherwise he's not going to have much money. But yeah, with lurkers coming through soon, maybe he can just hold on and then he's going to be okay. He's got those Vipers to aid him in these fights as well. And Dark only just now making his way to his own infestation pit, so he's away off his own hive as that base gets cancelled immediately though. So Reynor still can't hold that forward base as Dark a few roaches ahead of everything else that need to be careful. He's going to start coming in from 2 sides. Reynor will just abduct in a couple of Ravagers. One walks back. Now a Blinding Cloud on the right-hand side, though. That should help a lot as Reynor has the better concave on the left as well. And is definitely making a little bit more out of this overall. But now Dark gets a little bit more into the fight. Another nice Blind Cloud, though, is just messing up Dark's position and forcing him to reset this position a couple times over, which is obviously a little bit frustrating for him.
Yeah, well, as long as Dark keeps holding the concave, this fight is good enough for him. He also has so many Ravagers that even though there's a Blinding Cloud, he can just, whenever he gets Blinding Clouded, drop some Corrosive Bites, and Reynor can take a fight right there. And Reynor's army just keeps running, basically, with the Ravager count that Dark is at. And at this point, he killed 13 more workers. And, I mean, Reynor didn't get any lurkers out or anything like that. So that would have really been the, okay, you can't attack into me anymore. But with a massive army supply advantage, especially considering there are some roaches that were on the other side of the map, and there's 3 Vipers in the sky, which cost 9 supply. Yeah, Dark just took the fight that he needed, and I honestly think this fight was very necessary to take. So yeah, good decision making by Dark, and honestly, he just always took good fights. He always disengaged on the correct side to always keep the concave in position. So even though he was very slow to take up, which was probably the biggest mistake Dark did this game, it didn't really matter because of just the way he controlled the fights.
All right, well, I see. Lurker's still trying to come through here from Reynor. But obviously Dark is on his way to his own hive and hide den as well, so he can go his own lurkers. Most importantly, probably getting his own Vipers up is something that would be nice to just match Reynor a little bit as well. Obviously, if you can get the Vipers, that's always good. Vipers are very good units, very useful to have, and especially against a few lurkers, will be very important. Get some Blinding Clouds on them or abduct them in. You really kind of have your choice as to how to deal with them.
Yeah, the one thing that, I mean, could kind of go wrong for Dark is if Lurkers just borrow straight on top of his army, because he's super Ravager heavy, actually. So if Reynor ever gets to max out and then get us around, and those are pretty big ifs, we might still be looking at a game. But for now, it feels impossible for Reynor to expand. He doesn't even have Overlord vision really on the map, even though his opponent doesn't have any anti-air besides the Ravager. So if he ever got Overlord speed and just patrolled some Overlords, I feel like he would be in a much better position because he would just always be in position. He would feel like he can just make a new hatchery. He has the money for it, but he's just afraid that the moment he takes the hatchery, the same thing happens as it did every time so far, which is the hatchery just died and he started getting surrounded. So trying to take it very slow at this point.
Yep, just going to take it now as he moves forwards and sets up some lurkers in the center here. Dark obviously has overlords that are kind of just watching everything, although should start to lose out on those because there are hydras here, so Reynor can get a couple kills. There's an overlord fleet heading up the left-hand side, so I'm going to avoid the army for now at least. Yeah, right, there's a lot of Ravagers. It is crazy how many Ravagers are in that army. Freaking expensive stuff from Dark, as Reynor is trying to get into position, but we'll see what he can do. Problem is, it just feels like he's outmassed in every way. Won't really find any way in just yet. He starts up a few more Vipers, so really trying to stay competitive there. Dark has 5 of his own, so it'll be just kind of 6 versus 5 Vipers, trying to keep that as even as possible.
I mean, Dark can't abduct Vipers though because he doesn't have Hydras. So Reynor can abduct Dark's Vipers and kill them, but not the other way around. So Dark might be looking more for Blending Clouds and Lurker abducts, which is a little bit cheaper than Viper abducts. But Reynor is out of position again. As I said before, he just doesn't have Overlords to spot this kind of stuff, even though he could have. So now he's going to try to come in from both sides, and Dark is kind of going into the one spot where he can actually get surrounded. Oh my god. Reynor is counter-attacking with the bottom army. I wish he would just come in with a flank. I'm assuming that's just roaches, but I still think that should just come in as a flank right now.
Yeah, just run in, just kind of force the fight and just go from there. You see a couple of abducts on some Ravagers here as Reynor tries to pick away at them, losing his natural. Still just trying to move forward, abducting more of these Ravagers in. One of them waddles away, though, and now he abducts in a Viper, which he also doesn't quite manage to kill. And Dark is obviously, with the Blinding Clouds, able to push into the Lurkers a little bit more easily. Reynor is counter-attacking, as you said, and he's got units on top of a 4th base of Dark. That is looking as though it might go down. Doesn't look like on the minimap there's units there for Dark to defend it. So, yep, that looks like that base has fallen. And, yeah, that's obviously nice at least, but obviously the overall army supply is still an issue. At some point, Reynor has to be able to kill this army of Dark, and that just doesn't seem like it's too likely to happen still, as, again, there's an answer to the Lurkers. The Vipers are doing a good job of just kind of keeping this active, and yeah, Dark has plenty, and he's obviously got reinforcements still coming through, as he has another 4th base in the bottom right corner setting up, and he's just killing all of the tech of Reynor now.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 Vipers.
Yeah, no, at this point he's pretty dead. Yeah, he can give him some Vipers for banter as well, but I don't think there's any coming back in this one. Yeah, I think actually Dark's army was so weak to surrounds that even though Reynor was behind in supply, if he just came in from the top left where his army was, sent some of it to the bottom left of where the Ravager army was, and then came in with the roaches that he sent to counterattack, he could have taken a super advantageous fight for him. Because he had, like, Dark had more Ravagers than roaches. Like, it was a crazy army, super squishy, and just not very good in a straight up fight. Much better like this poking and prodding type stuff, and holding a position when you're trying to come in from one angle. So even though obviously Dark also was super fight and he still had a bank, so it would need to be a clean up. I kind of would have liked to see how that fight would have went, because I'm not used to seeing that many Ravagers, and yeah, it's sad that Reynor didn't go for it, but yeah, Dark just was ahead pretty much the entire game in this one, ever since he killed the 3rd base, and he kept that advantage. He just kept going to the other side of the map, kind of let up once, but then realized, okay, yeah, I can just keep the aggression up, and played it pretty well.
Yeah, just a slow game, but the right kind of game from Dark, as a few Lurkers will keep on being abducted. Dark is just waiting to swarm into this base of Reynor, and now he says, enough is enough, my Lurkers have done what they need to do, you've only got 1 or 2 Lurkers left of your own. Reynor will have to type out the GG, doesn't have much else of an option, and we will take this to a game 3 of the series. So we are going to go the distance here between Reynor and Dark. Yeah. Just gone forever.
That's weird.
All right, Glitter and Ashes. So as you mentioned, gonna see those kind of big maps as the choices. So in we go. Big map to wrap us up here. As we have one final map to see who is going to advance through to the playoffs. It's like Reynor's top right, Dark is bottom left. Let's get this ready to go. Okay.
Did you hear that? The production value, because they do the split screen, they have it open on 2 PCs, and one of the PCs was playing the Terran music, the other one is Zerg music.
Yeah,
I was
plays
like,
double
what the
music. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's the same on picture-in-picture. They have picture-in-picture, and obviously the picture in the picture just shouldn't have sounds, and it always has
just
sounds.
mute one of them. What the
Yeah. So it has double audio, and I'm like, oh my god, can you not? Yeah. Just me. It happens every season too, you know. Like, and what's amazing is this is the best it's been so far. You know, day one was horrendous. It was unwatchable. And I sent them this big list, and I'm pretty sure I copy-pasted it off last season as well, because every day, day one, it's the exact same things. There's double audio, the video is stuttering, they forgot to, like, add player names or something crazy, like, they have, like, Reynor is, like, you know, they'd have, like, an overlay which says, like, Reynor is blue and Dark is red, when obviously that's not true and stuff. It's, like, yeah, it's, it improves week by week, but it's, like, it's still painful. It's, like, you guys have done this for, like, 4 years now. When are we just going to hire the same guy to run the show twice?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that the Chinese people on their forums or something would, you know, tell them that kind of stuff, because I think those forums are pretty active. When Time showed me, like, some of the posts had like 10,000, 20,000 upvotes and stuff, and I was like, wow.
Yeah,
I figured they would tell them that instantly, because I noticed right away. Like, usually I don't have the sound on like that, but.
Yeah, the World Team League stuff's good, because I feel like they are actually, like, StarCraft only, right? So they're, like, really focused on producing a StarCraft show, at least. But yeah, for next, because they go from, like, doing, like, you know, CSGO, then they make a Warcraft tournament, then they do StarCraft, like, twice a year. It's just, like, they just forget everything they did last StarCraft tournament, and it's like, we start from square one every time. It's painful. You know, this time they didn't even send me the clean feed on day one until the first match was on game 3. So, like, I was, like, somewhat watching the Chinese stream, and I just had no way to actually stream it myself, because the Chinese stream has all this Chinese donation stuff running across it I couldn't turn off. So I was like, sorry guys, I'm waiting for the feed, and the games are just going.
Yeah, there's like one button you can press and turns it all off, but if you don't find it, it's not watchable.
I know, I used to know where it is, but they've hidden it more. I swear down, because I used to be really good at finding it, but I feel like they've hidden it, because they want me to be in pain, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really understand what the point of that button is anyways, because, like, does anybody actually want to watch that?
with everything
these
on?
things on?
Yeah, I know.
Like, I cannot imagine it. I cannot imagine it.
Yeah, I genuinely can't understand it in the slightest. It's like, you know, sometimes we have streams where people have, like, you know, their Twitch chat on the screen, right? So people can watch the stream and see chat and stuff. But it's like, well, at least it's not, like, floating across everywhere. At least it's in, like, a specific place that the streamers set it up for. Like, yeah, it's illogical to me, but, I mean, it must work, right? These streams have a lot of viewers. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it must work in some way. Carapace again from Reynor. And this time it is a quick lair from Dark.
Yeah, I wonder if he's down to just do some link pressure and maybe go link lane if he has the feeling that Dark is going Mira. Dark does play Mira a lot on this map. So if he actually decides to go with the all-in that is common with +1 Carapace, he should just get a free win here, but his gases already are very late for that. So I'm not sure if he either forgot the gases or B does just not want to all-in, because he's morphing 3 banings offensively. He's not gonna have the gas to make 10 roaches once the roach burn is done, which is what you want to do instantly. So for now, he's just gonna do a little bit of a pressure build himself, a little bit similar to Dark, just much less committed. Obviously, Dark always going like 6 banings or 8 banings on the other side and 50 zerglings. This is more of a, okay, I have already my zerglings, let's move 4 banings on the other side of the map.
Yep, there's a few banes just going to wander into an empty third base. He's going to get some lings on it, though, and that's something you kind of got to respond to. Reynor just straight up goes in and blows up those banes. That costs him all of his, but there's 2 more ready from Dark. So Reynor has to back up, and he will not be able to get that hatchery just yet.
Yeah, that was really bad.
Yeah.
And he made too many drones, to be honest. Like, I think the all-in that is supposed to be not holdable with Spire is now holdable, because he made... I mean, Reynor is making units on 56 drones is very weird. This is not common whatsoever. So I don't. I think he accidentally made more drones, if I'm being honest. But if he just wants to kill the third base, maybe that's the idea, and then macro behind it. Then I could see that maybe. Like it might work out that way, right? Because Dag obviously thinks he's being super all in. He's making 6 spines on the natural. As long as Reynor just kills the third base because he's on 56 drones while semi all inning, he should end up fine. So maybe it will end up working out.
Kind of a weird one as we see Dark trying to counterattack a bit himself. Some lings across the map as Reynor's going to turn around for a second. Now he turns everything back down, but these lings actually going to catch a roach as well. Might get a few drones plus a queen. Reynor will see the natural here completely spined up. The meter's on the way, but yeah, he killed the third base. He's already on a very good drone count, as you mentioned, because of the weird way that this has worked. And now he can just begin his preparation against the Mutalisks and just try and hold on with a major worker lead and go from there.
I love it. +1 melee on the way as well, so he's going to play into Ultras, which is one of the best counters against pure Lingbane Muta. And the thing is, Dark theoretically does have a Roach Horn, but Reynor read that perfectly. Maybe he clicked on the Zerglings, he saw that there was +1 melee, but he realized he can just go Queen Lingbane into Ultras, and that's one of the best counters against Lingbane Muta. Which might not be as obvious as to why. It's basically if you have better upgrades on the ground and you have more Lingbane, that forces the Mutas to stay at home. And that also completely takes away the advantage of the Muta player, which is to just out-expand your opponent and consistently threaten like baning run-bys and just have superior map control, basically. So I really like the fact that he's going for +1 melee himself and that he starts having Zerglings on the map.
Yep, going to be seeing these Mutas trying to come back over this way. We do see one shot down by the Spore as well, so Dark not finding an opening at all at the moment. Now going to try and drone himself. He will find an Overlord, but that first attack of Reynor down the bottom side, moving through a lot of these lings. Well, there's a few spines at the front, but if he gets on top of that third hatchery, nope, he's just going to run by into the natural, realizing the spines are on that third base. So into the main base we go. He's going to be on top of a mineral line, get a queen. Obviously, drones have to start pulling away from this, and Dark is reeling as he's going to be just taking damage, and Reynor even morphing a couple of the workers in the corners you would usually expect as well, so that starts to come on through as well, and on we go.
Reynor actually saw the situation. He cancelled +1 melee, going into Infestation Pit and Roachborn himself now. Maybe he thinks he's far enough ahead to finish the game with like Infestors or just go into the later stages of the game. Dark, by the way, if we had a camera, I'm pretty sure he would have been tilted really hard because he had 6 Banelings at the natural the entire time. And then he started moving out, running towards Reynor's third base, and right that moment the Zerglings ran into the natural. I would have been furious because they were there the entire game, and then the one moment the Zerglings come, he actually moved out with the Banelings. So that was pretty unlucky.
Not the best of timing, unfortunately, as Mutas will find an Overseer at least, so still finding something around the map. Hydrogen just coming up from Reynor as he gets his mobile anti-air ready, so he can really fight against those Mutas out and around on the map. That's his current plan, as the Mutas come back to the top, will meet a few queens and turn themselves back away. As Hive Tech is on the way through from Reynor as well, so again, just believes he's far enough ahead to, as you say, set up into all the later game stuff, play against those Mutas, and go from there.
One thing that I think would be really good right now would also be Roach Burrow movement, but I actually think Reynor forgot Roach speed entirely. So with the amount of Roaches he has, that should be probably the first priority. And then whenever the Mutas actually commit into your base, even with the Roach numbers that he has right now, he can just walk across the map with the Roaches, force them back, and then either go back with the Roaches or even leave some units to go to the other side of the map, force Dark back. Like, if you have such a big lead, as the Roach player, there's a lot of things you can do with counter-attacks that Reynor is not really using yet. And Dark's even getting a relatively cheap cancel on the fourth base of Reynor, which is nice. It's just usually the Muta player is ahead in supply, and usually the Muta player is like way outmining his opponent, which is just not the case right now because of the early third base cancel and the 6 spines that Dark made.
Yep.
So like Reynor is kind of getting where he wants to pretty freely.
Yeah, obviously a later fourth base is not so bad because you have the better army, right? And your opponent's kind of meant to have some better map control, although maybe that fourth base getting cancelled a couple times is going to slow it down a bit more than it should have been. So that's a little bit frustrating for Reynor to keep on dealing with. He gets big fungal on the Mutas, but there's no follow-up to that, so it doesn't go anywhere for now.
Yeah, I hate it when players use fungals like that, or rather I love it when they play against me because those are actually useless.
Yep.
You should keep them. Yeah, you need to keep them till you either have follow-up with like a parasitic bomb or like units right next to it, or keep them for banelings. But just funneling Mutas, it doesn't actually do anything.
It's like momentarily satisfying. Like, oh yes, I got all of them. It's like, oh, it's like cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, now nothing. Oh, he misses the fungal completely on those Banes as they connect. Only really on the Roaches, couple on the Hydras, but didn't get kills, I believe. So, yeah, but that's a fungal wasted as well, because, like I said, it didn't hit anything.
Mm-hmm. Now the thing is, Dark doesn't really have the money to transition into lurkers himself. At the moment Reynor would scout like a lurker down in a hive, he could just move across the map and kill him. Oh my god, there's banelings here already and lurkers. Dark is just not looking at the banelings, he just rolled them in. That was as cost inefficient as it really can get. And that's not something that I can afford right now, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that was pretty much the worst Balins you could have had. They really did nothing at all. Couple of drones at the very end, but yeah, Dark needs to tighten up his game a little bit, right? Just being a little sloppy. Just needs to smarten up, as Reynor now does have Vipers. So now that fungal parasitic bomb combo, that can be very, very dangerous for Dark. That's something he's going to have to really watch out for here. And he's just going to have to be very careful. Obviously, he's going to try and roll Banes in here too, but fungals will help with that. And we've got Lurkers to shut the Banes down. He drops one parasitic bomb already, just forcing Amuda to split away. Dark does so aptly, but we'll see how it continues.
Yeah, my question right now is Dark ever going to transition? Because the way Reynor is playing, he's not going to die. Like, there's no way. Reynor is playing insanely safe, like even overly safe. He's making walls on 3 bases while he already has lurkers and roaches and infestors and vipers. And he's just sitting there. He's not afraid of Dark transitioning. I'm not sure if Dark even ever plays Mutaling Bane into lurker, but that would be the best case right now. Because Reynor is not follow-up scouting with anything, so Reynor would have no idea that this is happening. But against what Dark is doing, what Reynor is doing is perfect. You don't need to move out. You're just gonna be trading effectively, and basically your opponent's army is it's just gonna be useless. So you're not the one that needs to attack, even if you're getting outmined. Likewise, Dark shouldn't do anything anymore. He should wait till Reynor does stuff. There's no way that you do anything here with the Banelings.
Yep, as these meters try and fly in. Queens just gonna hold this off. Obviously, Dark will just try and find what he can. An Evo chamber that's mostly for Vipers to consume and to get some energy back from, and otherwise 27 meters just not really finding a way in. He's just spread everywhere, waiting for some kind of movement from Reynor.
Yeah, so the question is, what is the next step here? Might be the question on some of the viewers' minds. If both players are not supposed to attack, well, as Reynor, you can just expand slowly, and once your army actually starts getting maxed without the queens, you can start doing stuff. But he still has the queens to trade away, and like you can start doing stuff with borrow movement if you want. But really, there's no timer on Reynor till Dark transitions into Lurkers himself. On theory, you're not supposed to really do anything. And Dark is supposed to do stuff, but he can't. Like, with the setup that Reynor has, Dark absolutely can only try to get free damage with the Mutas, which he's doing a great job with, by the way. He is always active, trying to find some pickoffs on the edges of the base. But obviously there are 5 Vipers, so... Yeah. Also, killing the Queens at this point is honestly better for Reynor than it is bad, because he's just gonna replace them with more mobile units, so if he starts wanting to do stuff, it's not that bad losing them.
Yep, there's another couple of Banes try and roll through, but the defense is decent on that left-hand side as well. As Reynor just sits back, and like you say, it's kind of odd because you don't really want to attack, so you just wait and you wait. Maybe you lose a couple queens and you improve your army a bit. And meanwhile, Dark is getting set up into his own Ultras cavern, so... Is there at some point a moment where Dark wants to really try and bust into this, or is he really just best waiting until Reynor just takes a 5th base and just let Reynor do as he wishes until then?
No, he cannot attack. He needs to trade his army at some point to go Viper Hydra. I don't really understand why it's going Hydralisk and Ultras. That's a little bit interesting to me. Like, usually Lurkers work better with this than Ultras do. And he already is going Hydra, so I feel like that would be a little bit more logical. But like the one big mistake from Dark, I feel like is that he went down in drones for some reason. He's probably afraid of dying, if I'm being honest, which makes sense. Like, if I'm in this game, I'm probably also afraid of dying, but he needs to realize that he's gonna trade this away super ineffectively. Like, this army is gonna die basically for free. All of this Lingbane Muta is not gonna kill much. So he needs a full remix of like Hydra, Lurker, Viper if he wants to have a chance this game. So he needs to outmine Reynor, which he's just not doing right now.
Yep, just he has the bases, but not the drone count, right? So kind of
Yeah.
works in a bit of a weird way to what you might expect, as otherwise you just have Reynor just taking a forward base, and that's an issue because it means that, you know, when you might start manning him because Reynor runs out of money, or, you know, there's bits to mine, well, Reynor has a new base, so then it's not as much of an issue. So if you can't deny that, it is becoming more and more problematic for Dark. Gonna roll even more Banes in over this side, and this time maybe a few to actually get some drones. We get 7. Still very expensive to just get 7 drones, right? 7 drones Reynor can rebuild pretty much right away, and yeah, not really be too worried about. So very inefficient from Dog as Reynor moves through, and maybe could have abducted the Overseer there. More Banelings just running through Lurkers. There's Lurkers everywhere, and that's the issue for these Banelings. They can't go anywhere safely.
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of what Dark was waiting for, is that Reynor finally moves out, but he already lost all of his Banelings. Like Dark did it on purpose to lose his Banelings. He needs to throw them away at some point to start Hydra production. But Reynor obviously realizes what's going on and then starts moving across the map, which forces Dark to instantly morph 13 Lurkers, which is maybe not exactly what you want. Maybe you want to be a little bit more Hydra Viper heavy. Oh, these Zerglings do a lot of damage against the hatchery. I'm also a little bit afraid that Dark's upgrades right now are like 2-0-0. And Reynor is 3-0. It's 3-3.
Oh my god,
because I just saw Dark getting extra. Okay, no, he's 2-1-2. Okay, that's still not that great on the missile upgrade front, but it's better than I thought.
Yep. Yeah, as he backs away, those meters are hurting right now, so Reynor actually taking this as a chance to move forward. You'll see the Lurkers on Burrow there, so he knows that that's a thing as he puts himself into position. Reynor actually has 11 Vipers right now, just masses of abducts and blinding clouds available to help him push through on the ground if needed. And of course, parasitic bombs if those meters try and get involved in the fights as well. So Reynor with plenty of spellcasting at his side here as we get ourselves, well, again, just kind of, it's funny, right? Because, you know, we start move out, we see some action, then the way it plays out, everyone's like, you know what? Actually, let's just sit back a little bit more and wait for a little while longer before we really commit to anything still.
Yeah, I think Reynor is a little bit too afraid of losing. Because I saw that as well against Zest, where he just goes to a super low drone and doesn't remake them. Because it's just, I think in Reynor's mind, if he just plays a late game against the Koreans, he just wins. But like, he should still be at 60 workers. I have no clue why he isn't. And he should start losing the queens. Like, the queens right now are absolutely useless. Okay, good abducts on the Vipers. Only gets 1 though, and the Vipers even drop some parasitic bombs. Reynor not microing the Viper away. Wow. It's okay though, because he has a million queens, so maybe now they come in handy.
Yeah, now you can transfuse everything up and, like you say, make use of something that wasn't maybe useful to begin with. Is it concerning at all then that Reynor can't get a 5th base? Is that a problem for him?
Yeah, he does need to get a 5th base at some point, but ZvZ late game plays out very slowly, so you cannot really die at any moment. So usually it's about the trades being cost effective, and Dark, somehow the resource loss is almost even, which is surprising me a lot. So if that is actually true, and if that's not backed with because of the Banelings or something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Sometimes Banelings are kind of an odd one in those situations, right? Because sometimes the way they blow up doesn't count into resource loss because they blow up instead of being killed, and it's kind of weird. We did see a lot of Banelings kind of go down somewhat not great earlier, so maybe a factor that isn't accounted for here is Dark continues to not really find much of a way in, and for the most part just has to stay backed up. As you see him still looking for openings, though. You can see that army of Reynor just moves around and dodges out the way for the moment.
I mean, he did get to his own Hydra Lurker Viper stage, which was not clear. Like, if Reynor just kept attacking, the moment he started sacking all the Banelings, I think Dark would be in quite some trouble. But as I said before, I think Reynor is a little bit too afraid of losing, and he's playing it overly safe, which now enables Dark to just start a contain on him. And this reminds me so much of my game against Cyril on this map. I was in a little bit of a better position. I think you didn't cast it, right? Because it was at the same time as Team League.
I didn't see it. I kind of saw it a little bit though, but I didn't see it like exactly, you know.
Yeah, it was very similar to this game. Where I was in Dark's shoes and Cyril was in Reynor's shoes. Also, I was trying to starve them out. And you think they're gonna need to run dry of resources and gas at some point, but even if you just expand one base at a time, as long as you trade better with like more Vipers, you're actually fine in ZvZ. So even though I do actually think Dark by now is in a pretty good spot, by no means is this over whatsoever.
Lurkers get picked off as Reynor moves forward, and he's going to get a couple of ducks as well, so again, those efficient trades as you're talking about. That's a Viper which gets guaranteed to die as it gets abducted in as well, and Reynor has just been a little faster on that spellcast, and now we're going to see parasitic bombs go down. This time Reynor does start to split, and then he stacks the Vipers up again. I mean, he just continues to take so much splash on those Vipers as the initial split is there, but then they just run back together as he controls them somewhere else, and obviously it feels like his work is undone. And now those Vipers are low HP, the Queens have to transfuse them one more time. That's it's dangerous though, right? It's just that point where sometimes that's going to go wrong, but then you're going to be in some real trouble. This time, looks like the split on the Vipers is a bit better.
Yeah, but like he's not killing any Vipers. Dark that is. Whereas Reynor is abducting Vipers, killing them for sure every single time.
Yep.
I personally do much prefer the abducts over the parasitic bombs because, especially if there's 13 Queens, for some reason in the late game, then the parasitic bombs really become much worse. So I think if Dark just abducted Vipers and trade them one Viper for one Viper the entire time, while outmining him and while keeping Reynor from going to 5 bases, that would be like his instant winning condition. But he didn't quite do that. Like I honestly must say I really dislike the choice of parasitic bombs there. Even though they did a lot of damage overall, they're not killing anything.
Yeah. Kind of a funky one as now some overseers just get donated as well. That's definitely not one that you want to give up for free. No reason for that. As Amidas are going to fly forward and again still just trying to find something. Reynor getting that 5th base up finally and can of course just build off the back of that for now. As otherwise, yeah, still 10 Vipers to the 6. Reynor definitely controlling the skies in that regard as for a moment he wants to move forward, but will quickly be reminded perhaps that he shouldn't.
This is a good move for the Lurkers, because Queens are not good against Lurkers. They're doing decently, actually, at staying alive.
Oh my god, the Queens
they're better against Lurkers than I thought. Okay, I've never seen this before. Usually the Queen player is the one with the Lurkers, not the Muta player. Another parasitic bomb killed nothing, but low HP Vipers once again.
And now the Queens are
next
dead.
one.
So now you can't
That's true.
regen them as much as you were before. So that maybe that's a factor. Maybe that's why Dog sacrificed his Lurkers for the Queens. Try and take those transfusions away, and eventually his parasitic bombs will make something happen. Resources is lost, especially in gas. Reynor trading just 5,000 gas better off, so that's the big difference between the two of them still here.
Yeah, at this point you can really just look at the numbers. So Reynor has 7 Vipers versus 6, and the Lurker counts are even. But Dark is maxed out on almost purely Hydra for the rest of it. So I don't mind Dark's position whatsoever, and then we can also take a look at how many guys he's mining from, which is 2 more than Reynor. So overall, Dark's position should be slightly preferred, but he needs to stop taking like bad trades overall, because he's running out also of minerals at this point. So he needs to really start watching out.
Hydra attacking in from Reynor as he gets aggressive for the first time on the other side of the map in a while. We'll be seeing the blind cloud coming down though, and Reynor is quick to know he should be out of there. He gets Lurker abducted. He does back it up. Reynor very low on gas, by the way. He's still mining everywhere he can be, just is running low. He's using pretty much all of it that he is mining, so he needs to be careful with how much he trades, right? Because otherwise you don't want to be left kind of not being able to remax because you're just waiting on gas to come on through.
Yeah, he needs to start expanding. Like, just throw down some hatcheries. You have the minerals right now anyways, and you finally got back some map control. At this point, you can also try to respread some overlords to important paths on the map, now that you have the minerals anyways, even though they might die against Hydras, for example, one on the left, very important, one on the very right of this map. And then you kind of cover a lot of space already, and now that's kind of what he does. He starts expanding, and he remakes a bunch of roaches. Now, with roaches, it's very important to not use them in a straight-up fight and just use them for run-bys. So that's what I'm expecting. This is exactly what he does, right, with this type of army, where he just uses them at the side. And yeah, it's important for Reynor to keep getting up bases. Obviously, if this would be a completely mined out map, which almost never happens in ZvZ, it would favor Reynor because he traded gas effective. But this was really good for Dyke. Finally abducting instead of throwing down parasitic bomb. And yeah, that was just 4 Vipers for free, which is huge because Reynor is just completely out of gas.
Yeah, not able to rebuild those Vipers is obviously going to hurt a little bit. There's only 3 Vipers left. And like you said, just needs the other bases, needs the gases on those bases big time right now. Is And we continue back around. I was going to say, he just started to consume off of an extractor. And that's obviously not great. When you're low on gas and then you're killing your own gas, it's not ideal.
Yeah, I think he needs to double expand, honestly, at the bottom and take all of those geysers. Because he's gonna otherwise run out of Vipers. Like, if Dark just abducts the Vipers one by one, while also getting his own Vipers abducted, he cannot lose this game anymore. Because Reynor is just running out of gas. And now, Dark actually finds himself in between the bases, and especially the most fresh bases. So he can kind of kill the right one for free. Reynor, once again, deciding to not go for the surround. Oh, one Viper even pops there at the hatchery. That's really bad. And Reynor now going for the counter attack. Three lurkers in position though, so Reynor is gonna try to use the army now for a surround instead, but that's too late to save the hatchery. And man, I must say, it's looking better and better for Dark, who kind of starved out Reynor here.
Yeah, he really did. Reynor he got to that 5th base, was like, okay. Got to the 5th base okay in the end, but then he just never took another step, and obviously became an issue now as his gas finally ran out. He stalled, but yeah, needed to... And what's weird is it felt like he never attempted to take the next base, right? Until, like, right now. He didn't really foresee maybe the issue of just, the fact he was kind of running out of gas potential, so... a little bit rough as we do see these lurkers from Dog trading well, and Reynor just, again, he cannot rebuild now. The Vipers continue to come through for free pickoffs, basically, and Dog is just going to continue to kind of push on forward, because Reynor's not going to have the lurkers to even hold off, because they're getting abducted, and you can't remake those either.
Yeah, usually the last two hooray is like you max out on roaches and then try to go for a blinding cloud engagement. It's not going to work. At this point, Dark's army is way better than Reynor, so he's trying to go for another counter attack. But yeah, Dark, I mean, he played this out pretty well. I do think that Reynor was in a fantastic position after he killed the 3rd base, honestly. And I kind of wish he would have just went for what I initially said and what he also wanted to do, which was link Bane into Ultra. Not sure why he decided differently, since he already had the carapace upgrade as well, but...
Yep.
I don't know, I think just a little bit too slow. In general, with the, as you said, the expanding and also not being aggressive. I think there, once you have a lead against Mirror like that, you can actually be aggressive. Like, for example, borrow movement roaches, and then once he goes back home, you start engaging. But yeah, now we're gonna basically see the final fight where Reynor is trying to go in. G is called, Dark takes it 2-1 and advances.
Yeah, advances through to the playoffs, Dark, with the slow-going ZvZ, but that's how you play those kind of situations out, and eventually kind of took advantage of it all, and Dark comes through, wins out, and gets to be the final player to make the playoffs of the NetEase